What is the story you are currently telling yourself about who you are? If you think about your identity, it's really the story you tell yourself. And personality is a key component in helping us better understand ourselves. So there are a variety of personality assessment tools out there, including the Myers-Briggs inventory. But there's one tool that has gained a lot of popularity in the last few decades, and it's called the Enneagram. The reason why it has gained popularity is because I think what it can do is it can not only describe who we are, but it helps us understand why we do what we do. In other words, what motivates us. And if you understand your core motivations, then you can also move towards the outcomes that you really want to achieve. So, in today's session, we're actually going to go through an oral assessment. So, it will be helpful if you have a pencil or paper handy or a device where you can jot a couple of things down in your notes section. And in this process, you are really going to self identify. Honestly, I've taken a number of Enneagram assessments, and in the end, the more I uncovered about this personality tool, the more apt I was to really get to the spirit or the essence of who I am and my core motivations. And keep in mind that we are really all of these different nine types when we are fully integrated. But as children and as young adults, we started to lean towards strategies that we found would work for us. So as I read each of these descriptors, really be honest with yourself. Really don't focus on the ideal you, but who you are most of the time. And then I also want to encourage you as you delve into this particular tool, don't use this tool against others. Don't arm yourself with this tool. Allow others to go through this process of self-discovery. And also, remember that no one type is better than another. So a 1 is not better than a 9, for instance. So this is going to be a tool that is really going to help you in your relationships with others at work, but it also could help you outside the world of work. And it's also, I think, ultimately going to help you ease up on yourself because as we understand ourselves better, we can just appreciate our natural inclinations and not be so hard on ourselves and really kind of have a sense of humor about who we are. So I'm going to share this document that I have created and that's available on my website. And it's going to sort of guide us through this process. So once again, as I just mentioned, I want you to be really honest with yourself as we do this exercise. And I want you to mark 1 next to the letter that most closely describes you. If you find that there are 2, then feel free to mark the one that sounds the second closest to you. But try not to mark more than 2 during this exercise. So here we go. A. I place a high value on being strong, reliable, dependable, and truthful. I am confident in who I am and present myself in an authentic way. I hold back on trusting others until I can count or rely on them. I prefer people to be direct and tend to display my feelings when angry or upset. I can tell when someone is being dishonest, devious, subversive, or manipulative. I have a hard time following orders, especially if I do not respect the person. I am good at taking charge and tend to watch out for the interests of others. I tend to hold my position, especially on important issues and matters. Jot down A if that really sounds like a close match to who you are. B, I have high standards and principles for what is right or correct. I expect myself to live up to my own standards, ethics, and values. I like things to be correct, and I can easily see if they are not. I may present as being overly perfectionistic, critical, or demanding. I pride myself on doing things accurately and doing things the right way. I sometimes resent others for doing things incorrectly, acting unfairly, or being irresponsible. I usually do not show or may hide how I feel if someone has not met my standards. I typically put work before recreation and suppress desires that might distract me. Mark down B if that sounds like you. C, I can see all perspectives easily and can see advantages and disadvantages of viewpoints. I may appear indecisive because I see all angles, but this helps in resolving differences. I sometimes get off track by attending to other people's agendas, positions, or priorities. I get distracted with trivial things and can lose sight of what matters most. I have a hard time knowing what my own priorities are and what is important to me. I go along with others to avoid conflict and tend to be adaptable and agreeable. I like people to get along and for things to flow, be comfortable, and harmonious. I tend not to show my anger. It takes quite a bit to get me upset or mad. Mark down C if that describes you. D, I am sensitive to people and see their feelings and what they need, even strangers. I feel frustrated sometimes when I sense things and cannot always help others in need. I give of myself often and tend to take care of others and their needs more than my own. I have a tough time saying no and wish I was better at setting boundaries with others. I feel hurt if people think I am manipulative or controlling when I'm trying to be supportive. I truly value close relationships and make an effort to develop and sustain them. I want people to see me as a good person with a warm, loving, and giving heart. I sometimes feel unappreciated and can become emotional or even demanding. Mark down D if that sounds like you most of the time. And keep in mind, this describes you most of the time. Not every single one of these are going to fit 100%, but you're trying to self-identify with the type that sounds most like you. E, I am competitive, like doing my best, but can also be a good team player. I receive a lot of accolades for my accomplishments and achievements. I am an action-oriented person, get a lot done, and do most things very well. I find it hard to sit and do nothing and always have a list of things to do. I use my time effectively and feel impatient with others if they waste time. I focus more on getting things done, so my feelings and reflections tend to come second. I tend to take over projects if someone works too slowly or does not complete tasks. I like to stay on top of projects at all times and not let things get out of control. Mark down E if that sounds like you most of the time. F, I am quiet and tend to analyze things and need time alone more than most. I tend to observe as opposed to being in the thick of situations with others. I don't like too many demands from others and tend to be quite self-sufficient. I tend to be more reserved and maybe reluctant or uncomfortable in revealing feelings. I am able to get in touch with my emotions when I am alone and prefer this approach. I sometimes enjoy reliving past experiences more than while living them. I am hardly ever bored while alone because my mind is active and engaged. I like to protect my time and energy and live a simple, uncomplicated life. I have a tendency to use my ingenuity to solve problems and apply logical analysis. I have an unusual sense of humor and wit, but can appear contrary or pessimistic. I am good at detecting danger, being on the lookout, and tend to avoid harmful situations. I would like life to be more predictable, more certain, and not question things so much. I often see shortcomings in views put forward and may be considered quite astute. I have a strong imagination, especially about safety threats or issues tied to security. I am suspicious of authority, yet do not typically want to be an authority figure. I am very loyal to the people and causes where I've made commitments. Jot down G if that sounds like you. H, I am optimistic and enjoy developing new and interesting things to do and try. I have a very active mind that darts around between ideas and tasks. I have a good mind for seeing the macro picture and how things intersect. I like to work on my interests and have lots of energy to spend on things I enjoy. I have a hard time sticking with repetitive, mundane, or low reward projects or tasks. I love planning, brainstorming, and checking out various options to consider. I have a tendency to exhaust an interest and then move on to something else. I can feel down, but tend to switch my attention to pleasant thoughts and feelings. I am a sensitive person with strong feelings and sometimes feel misunderstood. I feel lonely sometimes because I feel different and long for deep connections. I know I can be a bit dramatic and tend to amplify my feelings, which some may criticize. I seek meaningful experiences and experience a world rich with emotions and meaning. I tend to focus on what is missing, deficient, defective, and downplay what I do have in my life. I have been low or depressed due to lack of interpersonal and meaningful connections. I sometimes wonder why relationships, careers, and other things come more easily for others. I love appreciating and creating beauty and have a very sophisticated and refined aesthetic sensibility. Jot down I, that sounds like you. So in the written document that I have on my website under my shop, I put down, do not read the next page until you complete the assessment, because I didn't want anyone to be influenced by looking at the diagram and the particular types before they did this assessment. I'd like to share with you, before we align the codes with the different types, a wonderful quote by Carl Jung. In the final analysis, we count for something only because of the essential we embody. And if we do not embody that, life is wasted. So think about your world of work and whether you embody the essential of who you are, the essence and the spirit, the core of who you are, and whether you are maximizing all of who you are. So now let's look at the 9 different types: the reformer, the helper, the achiever, the individualist, the investigator, the loyalist, the enthusiast, the challenger, the peacemaker, and see where your numerical correlation matches up with the alpha assessment. So if you chose A, you are type 8, the protector challenger. If you chose B, you're type 1, the perfectionist reformer. If you chose C, you're type 9, the mediator peacemaker. If you chose D, you're type 2, the giver helper. If you chose E, you're type 3, the performer achiever. If you chose F, you're type 5, the observer investigator. If you chose G, you're type 6, the skeptic loyalist. If you chose H, you're type 7, the epicure enthusiast. If you chose I, you're type 4, the romantic individualist. So keep in mind, at our healthiest level, we are an integration of all of the different 9 types. But there is typically one dominant, or what you might call a superpower, that operates. And we began developing a core set of traits or characteristics as children. And basically, it was a strategy to feel more secure and to navigate life. And we found that that particular strategy or that personality served us well. Now, it doesn't mean, like I said, that you are not going to identify with different aspects of the different types. And you're also going to find out more and more as you delve into the Enneagram how the aligned types, or what are called your wings, sort of inform who you are, and what happens when you're feeling more secure and more stressed, for instance. In future sessions, we're going to delve into that. But I want to end this session by, once again, encouraging you to this week really think about your identity, your personality, and how that informs you and how that motivates you. And I want you to think about how you can develop more empathic awareness of other people, their personalities, the spirit of who they are, their essence, in that world of work, so that you can be more compassionate, you can be a better communicator, and you can focus on team outcomes or partner with people and focus on the outcome you want to achieve, and then be sensitive to the way in which that person's going to get there, because every single personality is going to operate and navigate a little bit differently. So this particular tool that has been used by, major corporations and like Avon and Toyota and universities like Claremont and Stanford and Georgetown, can become a really phenomenal tool for you and your coworkers. So whether you're dealing with your supervisor right now, whether you're having some issues with your coworkers, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to deal with some difficult clients, this can be a powerful tool for you. So I just want to encourage you to feel free to visit my website, ApertureAdvisoryAssociates.com. I do offer staff training workshops so that we can really delve into this as a tool and really customize it to your particular team. I also do offer individual advisory sessions. And so that will help kind of coach you to keep moving and achieving the outcomes that you have in mind. So I want to end this session by encouraging you to open your aperture, to broaden your view of people and their leanings, as well as being more empathic towards yourself. And as George Lucas said, the famous film producer, always remember, your focus determines your reality. Thank you for joining me today.